You probably don't remember, but back in early September 2024, I actually posted a video about a new basketball shoe from ANTA. The initial colorways of the shoe closely mimic the colorways of the Shockwave 5 Pro. The shoe was called the ANTA Swagger. It was a candid name, and I kind of low-key liked how it was called. The shoe retailed for 6,595 pesos in the Philippines, which is about $120. Fast forward to today and we have an initial look at what could be the follow-up to the first version. This is reported to be the ANTA Swagger 2, and it's going to be an outdoor basketball shoe just like its predecessor, which isn't a bad thing, especially if you live in places where the most accessible courts are outdoor courts. Now, based on what we know so far, the ANTA Swagger 2 is essentially similar to the ANTA Swagger 1 except for the outsole. All the rest is a carryover of what was done before, and honestly I don't think it's a bad idea here, although those who already have the first version might think twice. So let's have a quick conversation. Let's rewind a bit. On September 2024, ANTA released one of its latest basketball shoes at the time, the ANTA Swagger. The name was unclear at the start because it was originally in Chinese. Some called it the ANTA Arrogant, and people had to translate before ANTA would give it its official English name. That's how it is originally with Chinese brands, unlike these days. And so the ANTA Swagger was born. The model is part of ANTA's Shock 4 line of basketball shoes. The first version was a low-top silhouette with a high Achilles notch. The upper is lightweight, breathable mesh with plastic overlays, and it had full-length Nitro Edge foam caged by a foam panel called a flash edge. Supporting this setup is a TPU frame at the side, which is probably the visual identifier of the shoe as it looks like saw teeth. The traction relied on ANTA's so-called cement killer outsole, which uses a full-length herringbone traction pattern. That's how ANTA calls the outsole of their shoes designed for outdoor courts. It has a cord-out section in the middle, the shape of which resembles the TPU panel at the sides. ANTA being a Chinese brand, of course, the Swagger basketball shoe model will have a second edition. The ANTA Swagger 2 is still a low-top silhouette, but this time with a more intricate mesh upper. Instead of the previous lace webbing, punched eyelets are used for the lacing system. At the back is an external heel cup with a Shock 4 logo that wasn't in the first version. Now, from the looks of it, the midsole will still have full-length Nitro Edge foam. Supporting this is a bottom-loaded plastic blade that extends to the length of the lateral, while the medial is basically uncaged. But this time around, the outsole is decoupled and it features multi-directional modified herringbone for the traction pattern. These features were not used in the first version, although the ANTA Swagger 2 could still use the cement killer rubber outsole. The surrounding toe area brings back the familiar saw teeth design we saw in the first version. Okay, so is the ANTA Swagger 2 a completely new basketball shoe compared to the ANTA Swagger 1? In terms of overall design, I think they have many differences from the outsole to the upper. The saw teeth design is perhaps the primary thematic visual element that connects them. But in terms of tech, the ANTA Swagger 2 is essentially similar to the ANTA Swagger 1 except for the outsole setup. It's like putting on a different outsole on the same shoe. But that's not to say that it's a bad idea because the Swagger model is an outdoor basketball shoe and the previous setup got the job done. Which also reminds me, many of ANTA's non-signature line of basketball shoes have been practically using a similar setup of mesh upper, full-length Nitro Edge, foam midsole, bottom-loaded plastic shank, and cement killer outsole. As they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. No word yet on a release date and retail price, but we can expect ANTA's latest basketball shoe to drop late August or early September. I'm expecting the retail price to still be the same given that the tech used is not really new. But if pairs go for less than $100 after some vouchers or discounts, I think it's going to be tempting. But either way, the ANTA Swagger 2 might also mimic colorways of the ANTA Shockwave 7, just like how the Swagger 1 did in the past with the Shockwave 5 Pro. Staple colorways such as sun and moon colorways across different shoe models have been an ANTA thing lately, and it probably works. But let me know what you think.